Gandang araw. Let's continue chapter 2. Lakeshore Reveries. Lakeshore Reveries tayo. So, reveries pertain to reflection. There was this one time when Rizal was exploring the lake, Laguna Lake. He had this kind of reflection. So, nung nandun siya sa Laguna Lake, may mga reflection siyang, may mga naisip siyang sa paligid niya habang binabaybay niya yung Laguna Lake. First is the injustices. Okay. For the injustice that Rizal noticed in his community are the injustices made by the Guardio Civil. So what are those injustices made by the Guardio Civil? The townsfolk, yung mga taong nakatira mismo dun sa Laguna, napansin ni Rizal that they are being physically abused by the Guardia Civil. The very reason why they are abused is these people tend to forget their manner in which they're able to greet the officers. So the reason behind they were abused, physically abused, and maltreated by these Guardia Civils is that nakalimutan nila and they're not able to greet properly this Guardia Civil. Nakalimutan nilang batiin ng tama by removing their hats. So usually ang attire ng mga tao that time was they have obviously they have a headgear, and then the way in which they greet people is by removing their hat. So one of the many reasons why they are abused is these people tend to forget to remove their hat. Ang reflection ni Rizal is while he was in front of the lake, yung mga taong nasa kabilang isla, this is his reflection. Do people live across the lake have the same kind of condition? That was the main thought of Rizal. Yung mga tao bang nakatira dito across the lake, do they have the same condition? Because of this maltreatment made by the officers, by the Guardia Civil to the townsfolk, he made a vow. Rizal made a promise that he would avenge this maltreatment through studying. So sabi ni Rizal nung bata siya, mag-aaral siya ng maigi. And then if he becomes successful in life, he would avenge them. That was the reflection of Rizal, or reveries ang tawag doon. Reflection of Rizal while he was traveling the Laguna Lake, or while he was walking. Now let's discuss the hereditary influences of Rizal. First is the Malayan ancestors. Malayan ancestors or Malaysia, yung mga lahi ni Rizal from Malaysia, he got this from his mother, from Malaya. So what are the traits that he got from his mother? If you're just going to look at the picture here, love for freedom, desire to travel, and then courage. They have the desire to travel mainly because the Malays are migrants from other territories. So he got this trait from his mother. Yung trait ng nanay niya, nakuha yun sa ancestors ng nanay niya, mga Malaysians. Love for freedom mainly because ang gusto ng mga Malays is to, obviously, if you have freedom, you can travel anywhere. And then they have the courage to do that because they are free. Now, Rizal got his frugal attribute from his Chinese ancestors. Ang Chinese ancestor niya is, he got this from his father's side. Frugality means, let's just look at this picture. There was a sale, so I bought 400 cans. So this is exact opposite of the meaning of frugality. Frugality means pagtitipid. If you have sufficient resources, if you have enough money, the trait of being frugal is you have to save a portion of your income for future uses. Yun ang ibig sabihin ng frugality. Now, again, he got this from his Chinese ancestors, mainly because his father is from China. Then let's discuss yung Spanish ancestors naman. The Spanish ancestors or the Spanish attribute, he got this from his mother side. So may dugong Malay and then dugong Espanyol, si Teodora Alonso. Spanish ancestors are known for gallantry to ladies. Gallantry meaning to say it can be seen or it's present in this picture. Gallantry means respect for women. So, kadalasan ang ginagawa ng mga Kastila to express their respect to women every time they try to greet them is by doing this. They try to kiss the hands of women as a way of greeting. Francisco Mercado, his father, ang trait na nakuha ni Rizal is love for work and independent thinking. So, more on the intellectual side, he got that from his father, Francisco Mercado. So, if you can notice, Mercado again is a Spanish word which means market. So, eventually, it was transformed to Rizal. Pero originally, the last name of Rizal should be Jose Mercado. For Teodora Alonso, since they are a Catholic family, so the the trait of being religious, he got that from his mother. And the passion for the arts and literature. For the arts and literature, kasi yung mga kapatid ni Teodora Alonso are more into arts and literature. And Teodora Alonso is Jose's teacher while he was a child. Kaya nandun yung literature. Then let's proceed to Jose's father or uncles. Tayo sa mga tito ni Rizal. Si Tio Jose Alberto, in order for us to easily remember the trait that he got from Tio Alberto, this was the uncle that was shown to Secrets of Rizal's Family. Yung kapatid ni Teodora Alonso, Jose Alberto. Ito yung may asawang nakipagrelasyon. The wife of Jose Alberto had a relationship with a head of the Guardio Civil. So, ang trait na nakuha ni Jose Rizal from his uncle side, kapatid ni Teodora, is traveling again. Traveling and then arts. Now, anong kinalaman ni Joey Albert? Joey Albert here sounds like Jose Alberto. So, Joey Albert is an artist. She's a singer during the 80s. Ito yung mga kilalang kanta niya, Forevermore. So, you can search this one sa YouTube, Joey Albert. So, Joey Albert is more into arts. So, sino si Jose Alberto? Si Jose Alberto yung uncle ni Rizal na pinakita dun sa film natin na Secrets of Rizal's Family. And then, it's also associated to Joey Albert, an artist, for us to easily remember the trait that Jose got from Tio Jose Alberto. Next is Tio Manny. Tio Manny, yun si Manny Pacquiao. The trait that Jose got from Tio Manny is his athleticism. So the reason why Rizal was into athletics is because of his small structure of his body. Maliit yung structural or physiological appearance ng katawan ni Jose. That's why, in order for him to compensate on that shortcoming, he tried to train himself, or probably his uncles trained him to be more athletic. So, he's into wrestling. Next is Tio Gregorio. So, for us to easily remember the trait that Rizal got from Tio Gregorio, tandaan natin si Gringo Honasan. So, sino si Gringo Honasan? The real name of Gringo Honasan is Gregorio Honasan. He's a former senator. Matagal din siya naging senator natin. So, right now, he was appointed by Duterte as a Secretary of Information and Communications Technology. So, you cannot be appointed as a secretary of that department if you do not love to read. So, book lover si Tio Gregorio. So, ganun din si Gregorio Honasan. He needs to read a lot for him to be effective in his position. So, that's the trait that he got from Tio Gregorio. Again, Jose Alberto, Joey Albert, singing and arts. And then Tio Manny, athleticism, tandaan natin si Manny Pacquiao. And then Tio Gregorio, tandaan natin si Gringo or Gregorio Onasan. Book lover, si Gringo Onasan was the Secretary of Information and Communications Technology. That's for chapter 2. Punta tayo ngayon sa chapter 3. So chapter 3 discusses Jose's early education. Ano yung early education? This pertains to his preschooling. So prior dun sa pagiging grade 1 niya, kasi he had his elementary years, his basic education, elementary and high school sa Ateneo. So before Rizal went to basic education, nandito muna siya sa early education. So preschooling tayo. First formal schooling sa Binan. So originally Rizal lived in Calamba. So gaano kalayo ang Calamba? 2 towns or 3 towns away from Calamba. Cabuyao, Santa Rosa, and then Binan. Cavite, nandito na banda yung Manila. Antipolo, nandito yung Antipolo. Ayun yung Rizal. So from Calamba to Binan, gaano kalayo? 3 towns. So Rizal had his formal schooling, yung preschool, before the basic and then high school sa Binan. Now before he went there, in order to prepare Rizal for that kind of schooling, the first teacher of Rizal was his mother. So ano ba yung mga tinuturo? Basic knowledge that a mom should teach to Rizal. We have to remember the 4 R's. Now what are those 4 R's? It's reading. Andun yung letter R. Writing. Asa ng letter R? Nandun pa rin. Arithmetic pertains... this is arithmetic. Arithmetic or mathematics. Writing is here. Arithmetic, letter R pertains to math. Ito yung image na. And then religion. Kailangan may religion kasi nga yung nanay niya is a fervent Catholic person. Religion, arithmetic, writing, and then reading. So those are the 4 core subjects that Rizal was learning from his mother. Now, what type of learning? Anong klaseng learning ang meron? Kasi since we have reading, writing, arithmetic, and religion, in order for Rizal or in order for his mother to be certain that Rizal is actually learning, the method of learning that being taught to Rizal was memorization. So ito yung memorization. So kabisado. So if you're going to compare that right now, memorization, this is Bloom's taxonomy. What's Bloom's taxonomy? This is the basis of our education right now. So even the way I design my exams is based on Bloom's taxonomy. So ano ba yung Bloom's taxonomy? It discusses the higher order thinking skills or the HOTS. Asan dito yung HOTS? From applying, this is applying, pataas sa creating. So sabi ni Bloom, in order to check that a student is actually learning, the teacher should be able to integrate this method of learning. Applying, analyzing, evaluating, and then creating. So what do you mean by applying? Nandito tayo sa level 3. You try to ask the question, can the learner use information in a new way? So how do we do that? The teacher should introduce activities that would do these actions. So the student should be able to choose, to demonstrate, to dramatize, employ, illustrate, interpret, operate, schedule, sketch, solve, use, and write. So in this way, according to Bloom, the teacher is certain that the student is actually learning. So the teacher could introduce applying, analyzing, evaluating, and creating. The topmost method of learning is creating. Level 6. So what is the question should the teacher should ask in his method of learning and teaching? Can the learner create a new product or point of view? So in order to ascertain that, the student should be able to do these activities. The student should be able to assemble, construct, create, design, develop, formulate, and write something. Okay, so dapat merong evolution from level 3, level 4, level 5. So from choosing, andun yung comparing and contrast, andun yung arguing, and then evaluating, and then pinaka-topmost is creating. Lahat to, wala to nung panahon ni Rizal. The only method being introduced to Rizal's way of thought is remembering. Nandito nabibilang yung memorization. So what are those type of activities that you can see under remembering? Can the learner recall or remember the information? You can only recall an information if you are expert in memorization. So memorization pertains to repetitive stating of a specific word. Sasabihin mo siya paulit-ulit hanggang sa maalala mo. So ang method of learning dyan is only duplication. And then ayun yung memorization. Anong klaseng exam meron dito is identification. Identification, then fill in the blanks. Dapat wala na kayong teacher ang nagpapa-identification or fill in the blanks kasi yan yung pinaka lowest form of learning, which is remembering. The method of learning that Rizal got from his mother was memorization. Memorization, according to Bloom, is the lowest type of learning. Nandito sa pinaka-bottom. So in order for Rizal to be motivated kasi as discussed last time, while Rizal was being taught by his mother in learning a Spanish language, it's a boring process kasi nga hindi naman yung mother language mo. The story of the moth, kung naalala nyo yung diniscuss natin from our previous slides, Rizal was being taught on how to speak the Spanish language, or at least how to learn the Spanish language. Since Rizal's attention was not there, his focus was attended towards the moth. The moth is in front of the light. Hanggang eventually yung moth namatay ng kandila. So in order for Rizal to focus his attention in remembering and then in his lessons, learning during Rizal's time is aided, even teachers at that time was aided by a whip or pamalo. Para yung attention ng mga bata nandun parati sa lesson. So learning, knowledge is infused to the students by introducing fear. So imbis na mag-enjoy yung mga bata dun sa activity na ginagawa nila, dun sa lesson na ginagawa nila, medyo mas natatakot sila, mas nabibigyan ng pansin yung takot. Minsan mahirap mag-enjoy, minsan mahirap matuto ng isang bagay kung takot ka. Dapat mas madaling matuto, mas madaling ma-enjoy ang isang bagay pag gusto mo to at masaya kang ginagawa mo to. So I think it's very ineffective if teachers during Rizal's time are introducing fear, or if their way of learning is aided by a whip or pamalo. So when Rizal went to Binan, my question is, was Rizal ready to face his education? Was Rizal happy to embrace his new environment? Naging masaya ba si Rizal nung nasa the very moment that he tried to embrace his education? If you have a little brother, if you have a little sibling, and then you're able to witness his first moment in school, mapapansin nyo merong anxiety na nararamdaman, may separation anxiety or sepangs na mararamdaman ng bata. Why? Because the child was within his comfort zone for so many years, sabihin natin for 4 years. And then all of a sudden, there was a sudden change or shift of environment. That's why a lot of kids, it's very rare for kids to be happy and stay at a preschool during the first day. Palagay ko kayo rin nung bata kayo, naalala nyo, nung first day of schooling nyo sa preschool, natatakot kayo at malungkot kayo. So same emotion was felt by Rizal the very moment that the family decided to Rizal have his preschool in Binan. So the school in Binan was owned by Justiniano Aquino Cruz. So at a very early age, even the time, bullying was very rampant. So may bullying na pala, may bullying na nung panahon ni Rizal. At palagay ko hindi na mawawala yan, mainly because nagka-clash yung iba't ibang ugali, nagka-clash yung iba't ibang personalities sa bata. And if you study psychology, ang mga bata are into self-centered sila eh. Ayaw nilang na sasakop yung kanilang personal space. Pag nasakop mo yung personal space nila, even their own properties, nagkakaroon ng awa, and then the emotions of kids cannot easily be controlled. That's why karamihan ng mga bata madadamot. Teachers are always introducing the idea of these statements. Sharing is caring. Kasi po, ang mga bata are self-centered and madadamot. So, sa school, natututo yung ganitong pag-uugali. That's why a lot of students are being bullied dahil hindi pa nga nila naintindihan. The kids are still in the process of discovering themselves. So, if you will not conform to the wants of your classmates, you will be pressured. So, doon nagsisimula yung bullying. So, Rizal was bullied by his classmates. Most of the time, Rizal was humiliated or napapahiya every time that he had his recitations. So, madalas pagtawanan si Rizal ng kanyang classmates every time na magkakaroon ng recitations. And because of this, Rizal experienced homesickness. What's homesickness? Homesickness is your tendency to go home immediately. This is being felt if you are separated from your house for a long time. So mararamdaman nyo yung homesickness, for instance, if you are separated from your houses for a very long time. Pwedeng more than 3 days, probably more than 2 to 3 days. So again, si Rizal po nakaranas ng homesickness because he experienced being humiliated and being bullied in the school of Justiniano Aquino Cruz. So since Rizal was trained by his uncle to be athletic, especially si Tio Manny na in-associate natin kay Manny Pacquiao. So athleticism yung namana niyang attribute, yung trait na tinuro sa kanya ni Tio Manny or Uncle Manny, Tito Manny. So the reason again, what was the reason why Rizal was taught to be athletic at an early age? The reason behind that is because Rizal had a very small physical structure, physical appearance. Maliit, masyadong maliit si Rizal para sa edad niya. So when this was Rizal's first brawl or unang away. Si Pedro the bully sa school niya, yun yung anak ng teacher ni Rizal. Ito yung anak ng may-ari ng eskwelahan, si Pedro. Si Pedro the bully confronted Rizal. He was bullied and ito yung unang nakaaway ni Rizal dun sa eskwelahan ni Justiniano. Rizal was very small and Pedro was big. So ang question, who won? Natalo ba si Rizal? Since he was trained by his Uncle Manny to be physically fit sa wrestling, si Rizal hindi siya nagpabully. Natalo niya yung nambully sa kanya, si Pedro. And then aside from the first brawl, yung unang suntukan niya, unang nakipagsuntukan siya, Jose was also challenged to an arm wrestling. Ito yung arm wrestling. So since he's very physically fit, lahat yan na panalunan ni Manny. Hindi siya madaling mabuli kasi nga physically fit siya. So salamat kay Tio Manny. And then dun sa school ni Justiniano, Rizal was also into arts. Rizal was able to spend a lot of painting hours dun sa studio ni Teacher Wancho. So sino si Teacher Juancho? Siya yung father-in-law nung may-ari ng eskwelahan. Father-in-law of the school's teacher. So in order for us to easily remember kung sino si Teacher Juancho, kunin natin, if you're not familiar with the NBA, merong player sa Denver Nuggets. Ang pangalan si Juancho Hernan Gomez. So anong kinalaman ni Juancho Hernan Gomez kay Teacher Juancho? Si Juancho ay puno ng tattoo. Yung tattoo dito is related sa arts. So arts and then sa painting. Juancho Hernan Gomez, Teacher Juancho is the father-in-law of Justiniano Cruz, the owner of the school. So Rizal spent a lot of hours in the studio of Teacher Juancho, most probably na rin, to avoid students who are humiliating him, to avoid students who are bullying him, especially si Pedro the Bully. While Rizal was in BINAN, he excelled in his academic studies. So Jose was able to beat everyone academically. So since kaya niyang talunin lahat, dahil nga the reason why he was able to do this because of his size. Most of the time, kadalasan ng mga matatalino maliliit. The explanation, the reason behind that is it's their reflex. It's a compensatory mechanism for their size. Dahil maliit na nga sila, kung mahina pa sila sa klase, lalo pa silang mamaliitin. So in order to compensate their weakness, dinadaan nila yung strength nila sa pag-aaral. So in this case, Rizal was able to beat everyone academically. This is a compensatory mechanism of Rizal because of his small size. At dahil kaya niyang talunin lahat, even sa wrestling, even sa physical, maraming nainggit kay Rizal. Kaya patuloy na binubuli si Rizal. Older classmates was jealous of Jose's intellect. Even yung mga matatanda niyang classmates, kaya niyang talunin in terms of academics. So ang ginawa ng mga matatandang ng mga ibang classmates niya is they connive, nagsabuatan sila and inform their teacher, nagsumbong-sumbong. They inform their teacher about Jose's fights. So every time that Rizal would engage into a lot of fights, parating nakasubaybay itong mga classmates ng chuchu or sumbongero. What kind of information they try to forward or endorse to their teacher, it's most of the time ang sinusumbong nila dun sa teacher nila are gawa-gawa lang or invento. They inform lies. Ang problema sa teacher nila, madaling maniwala. Madaling maniwala without any supporting evidence that would suggest Rizal actually engaged in a lot of fight. So as a result, Jose was punished, pinapalo. Ang punishment lang naman during the time, if you are in school, is corporal punishment. Corporal pertains to the body. Punishment, ito, pagpapalo. Kung hindi ka naman papaluin sa puwet, kadalasan pinapalo ka sa kamay. Ang gamit niyan, stick. Para magtanda ka. For you to avoid this kind of punishment, ang gagawin mo, hindi ka na mag-engage sa lots of fight. Ang problema nga, gumagawa ng lies, gumagawa ng invento itong mga inggitero niyang classmates. That's why Rizal was devastated at an early age in his attempt to appreciate knowledge. Jose left BINAN schooling in a steamboat. So, a mode of transportation sa Laguna Lake is a steamboat. So, from Calamba, from BINAN, he went back to Calamba. So, he got a letter from his sister, Saturnina, the eldest sister, na bumalik ka na dito sa Calamba dahil hindi ka na masaya dyan sa BINAN. Next, let's discuss the Gumburza. And then let's discuss the influence of the Gumburza to Pasiano and then Rizal.